Okay, let's continue from the last video. We're going to go ahead and close this part reviewer. So we're going to look at making some design changes here. And one thing I want to look at here is the rollback bar. And if I roll this up manually up to, say, here, what happens if I have a really complicated drawing, or really detailed, I should say, a lot of parts, especially like assemblies and stuff. If I have to make a change, and then when I hit my rebuild symbol up here and it goes through and it rebuilds everything, it can take a really long time. And I've had some really complicated designs where it would take, up to 15 to 20 minutes to rebuild every single part in that assembly. And so what we can do is we can use this rollback bar. And especially if I have to make changes above this, it's only going to rebuild up to that rollback bar. And then at a later time, when I need to move on, I can move that back down, and then the rest of the part model will rebuild. And so maybe I save that until I'm, like ready to go home or something, or, move on, and I can afford to not have it take that time to rebuild the whole part model every single time. So that's one reason that we use this. So let's slide this back down. Another thing we can use is a freeze bar. So first we have to make sure that it's enabled. So we're going to go up here to system options. We want system, and then in general, this general tab here, we're going to go down here, and usually it's at the bottom right here, enable freeze bar. We want to make sure we check that, hit OK. So the freeze bar works kind of opposite. And so if I click on this, right click on that and hit freeze, it puts a freeze bar there. And I can still see the parent relationships, but what it does is it puts a lock symbol on here. And so what that allows us to do is make changes and rebuild down here, but all this is basically locked out. And so where this comes in handy is if I have to make changes down here, but it's got a parent relationship to something up above, it might not let me make this change because it knows in order to make the change down here, it would have to change this and be affected. And so we know right away that, maybe this half of the model we know is already good and we don't want to make it changes to it. And then thus by making a change down here, we know this is going to change, which is not good. The other time that I would use this is if I'm working, say, in a Teams environment and I'm sending files back and forth, and I already know this part is good. It's been approved. It's gone through, a couple layers of engineering, and now we've got that part approved. We don't want to change this. And so I might send this to somebody with this part locked saying, you can only make changes down here. And so when I'm done with that, I can either right click on that bar and I can say roll to the top and unfreeze all. I can also take this and I can just physically move it to the top, and it's going to unfreeze everything. So I'm just going to go back in and I'm going to unclick that again. So that was system options, general, enable freeze bar. And you can leave it activated. It doesn't really matter. But so as we start editing this, our 4 tools that are going to be, and I think we've used them all already, is we can edit the sketch, we can edit the sketch plane, we can edit the feature, and we can delete sketches or features. And those are the 4 tools that we're going to use here. So the first thing we're going to do with this is we're going to come over here, we're going to look at this counterbore, and I can see I have one child feature, or dependent feature, they're also called, and that's the pattern. But I'm going to click on this, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to delete this. And it comes up and it says, are you sure? Because these are the dependent items underneath that counterbore. And so I've got delete child features, click yes, and so we're going to click yes. And now remove those. So let's look at a next um, option, and that's reordering. So we can reorder certain things on this tree, but what we can't do is we're limited in that we can't, um, one thing we can't do is we can't put like a child feature ahead of a parent feature. And so with reorder, we're kind of limited. We're limited to the parent-child relationships that already exist. And so, what we can do here is limited, but what we're going to do is just drag and drop. And so if I come over here and I hover on wall thickness, I can look and I can see the parent relationship is circular boss. And so if I try to drag this up here, like say under base fillet, I'm basically getting a message saying I cannot reorder. Change would put child feature above its parent feature. I don't know if you can see that or not on the screen, but and so I'm unable to do that. Let's right click on wall thickness and then let's click on this to edit the feature. And now we can take a look here at what faces we were using to shell that. And if I click on this face, it removed face 3. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on this face and it removed that face from my parameter, only leaving the bottom. And so now if I click OK, it removed that shell feature from this boss. And now when I hover on this, you can see that it removed that parent relationship between wall thickness and circular boss. So now I should be able to left click on this and move this up under the base fillet like I wanted to before. And so now I'm able to reorder that without any implications at all, because I was able to bypass that circular boss because now it no longer affected the wall thickness that previously existed. All right, we're going to end this video here. Make sure you're saving it so you're not losing any information, and we will continue on the next video.